What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to review Tool's newest album, Fear Inoculum. You know, I absolutely love this CD. I think it's incredible. I could not ask for a greater Tool album after their, after 10,000 days there was quite a long wait before Fear Inoculum came out. So for those who don't know, 10,000 Days was the most recent album that Tool put out prior to Fear Inoculum. But when Fear Inoculum came out, holy shit, every single expectation was I was just amazed, let's just put it that way. The first song, which is Fear Inoculum, the album is Fear Inoculum, and the first song on the album is Fear Inoculum. The first time I listened to that, it was just a total experience, listening to the swelling of Adam Jones's guitar interplayed with the kind of introductory swelling of Justin Chancellor's bass, and then to hear the rhythm kick in after that kind of slow intro with Danny Carey's kind of Indian style sounding drumming. My God, I knew then, especially once the beat kicked in and things really started picking up pace and moving, I knew then that this CD was going to be a hell of a ride, and it was. I am still dissecting this CD. With all of Tool's albums, other than Opiate and Undertow, other than those albums, I've spent massive amounts of time digging into these CDs. With Lateralus, which I believe came out in 2006, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm a little rusty, but with albums like Lateralus, I've spent years repetitively listening to these songs, and the beats and just everything in these Tool albums is so meticulously put out and laid out. There's so much love and care put into these songs, and the more you listen to these songs and these albums, the more you'll realize what I'm saying. You might ask, or you might be wondering, well, how do you know if there's love in it? Because you can feel it, folks. Tool is a shamanic tool. There's a reason why it's called Tool. A lot of people might be, finding Tool CDs at the album stores and just saying, oh, Tool, that's a cool sounding band, blah, blah, blah. You're kind of missing the point. It's an actual tool. And I'm not going to really get into that in this video, but I plan on talking about how Lateralus changed my life, the entire album. Lateralus, in layman's terms, at least in my opinion, is a CD, an audio guide, if you will, for raising Kundalini, for igniting Christ consciousness. And if you listen to that CD in the proper state of consciousness, some very magical things can happen. So, I'm not going to get into Lateralus, and I'm not going to talk about my Kundalini experiences and how they're intimately tied to Tool's music, especially the album Lateralus. I'm not going to get into that in this video. I'm going to review Fear Inoculum. But I plan on doing these type of review videos in the future because Tool's music is such an intimate part of my life. It's such a large part of my life. I mean, this is hands down my favorite band. I've spent thousands of hours listening to these songs over and over and over again, and they never get old. You find things that you didn't hear in previous listenings when you keep listening to them over and over, and what you'll find is that these songs, they start to sound different as you integrate them into your life and as you continue to listen to them. It's a very interesting thing. I've never experienced this with any other band. So we'll talk about that in the future. But Fear Inoculum, you guys, to get on point and to stay on point, holy shit. Maynard's voice, once 10,000 Days came out, bunch of birds behind me, I don't know if you guys heard that. Once 10,000 Days came out and I listened to Maynard's voice, his progression from, if you listen to his voice in Aenima, it's incredible. If you listen to his voice and how it progresses through Lateralus, it's fucking phenomenal. As you listen to his voice progress into 10,000 Days, it's miraculous. And as you listen, or if you listen to his voice and how it's progressed in Fear Inoculum. Since 10,000 Days, his voice is fucking angelic. And I don't see how people can't notice this. I don't know if people are desensitized. I don't know if people know how to listen to music anymore because they're so dumbed down with all of the crap that's out there. Let's move my camera, you guys. I just don't know. And I've seen some really stupid review videos on YouTube, especially about this album. People saying that it was a huge disappointment, or this is one of Tool's biggest letdowns. First of all, this band is not the type of band to put out something that isn't high quality. So I honestly think at this point people just don't know how to listen to music anymore. And I think a lot of people wanted more. I'm not going to say a lot of people, because a large majority of the people who have listened to this album enjoy it. But there's some people out there, I'm not going to name any names, who have given some really bad reviews on this. And I think that these people just wanted another, I don't want to say angry sounding Tool album, but I think they were looking for something more aggressive. Tool is progressive, ladies and gentlemen. You'll find that their music has evolved greatly, all the way from Opiate through, Undertow, through Aenima, through Salival. All of these albums, it's kind of started off, I don't want to say rough, but there was definitely some more aggression being let out by the band in their earlier CDs. This kind of reached a climax, in my opinion, in Aenima, their CD Aenima. You have songs like 46 and 2, which is an incredible piece of musicianship, which we'll talk about in the near future, because 46 and 2 is a very interesting concept. Drunvalo Melchizedek talks about 46 and 2, as well as 48 plus 2, a term that many people don't know about. He talks about this in The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2. And he talks about how 46 and 2, all the way up to 48 plus 2 and beyond, these are specific evolutionary processes that take place in human beings as we evolve. It has a lot to do with the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini energy, ladies and gentlemen, is the evolutionary force in mankind. It's what's going to allow us to step into the next stage of human development, whether you like that or not. Kundalini is Christ consciousness. Tool's music is saturated in Kundalini. All you have to do, for instance, is watch the video for Parabola and watch the end. When the Kundalini moves through the man's feet and goes up his spine and awakens his consciousness. And even the Kundalini in that depiction, that Alex Gray artwork, he did the artwork for the end of that CD, or song, excuse me. There's a point where the Kundalini energy goes up the Sushumna, the main channel that the energy goes up, the Kundalini energy, and it stimulates and awakens the Anahata, heart chakra. There's so much Kundalini symbolism, it's not even funny. So don't try to tell me that Tool's music doesn't have a strong foundation of Kundalini, because it is. It's a Kundalini audio guide. And that's something that most people, I don't think, are going to be able to understand, because a lot of people just want to look at things through the lens of simplicity. I'm not 100% sure. They just want to think it's a piece of music and that's it. No. There's a reason why these albums were taking multiple years to put together. Look at the song Lateralus and look at how the band incorporated the Fibonacci sequence into the syllables that Maynard used when he sang, all the way to the rhythms of Danny Carey's drums. This whole... That song, Lateralus, actually creates an audio spiral. That's something that's going to go over a lot of people's heads, but it doesn't matter. This band's music is not just... It's not a group of idiots picking their nose in a garage, coming up with riffs and just throwing an album together because they have a deadline. This band put a lot of care into this, and it's reflected by the rhythmic complexities, the vocal complexities. Every single moving part in Tool's music, especially when Aenima started, in my opinion, it became hyper complicated and very, very mathematically ingenious. This music is divine. In my opinion, it's one of the closest things that we have to a taste of nirvana without actually experiencing it directly. And what I mean by that is anyone can listen to Tool. The stuff that comes out of the speakers has the ability to move it can awaken Kundalini. I'm just going to say that. So this started off as a Fear Inoculum review, and I'm kind of going into a rant about all of their music, but that's kind of necessary in order for me to review this album properly, is it not? I've seen some people get on YouTube and just throw these these video reviews together where I listened to it once and I didn't like it. Well, Tool's music, you don't just listen to once. You listen to it repetitively. Something calls you back to it, and as you keep coming back for more, it begins to tickle your metaphysical antennas and move your soul. So, I really started to listen to Tool after picking up the album Lateralus in high school. I believe it came out in 2006. I graduated high school in 2007. I had listened to Aenima and a pretty decent chunk of Tool's music before this, but when I bought Lateralus, and I think my aunt, actually now that I think back, I think my aunt bought me a copy of Lateralus. I listened to it, I lost it, so I had to buy another one. But there's this particular song on Lateralus titled Reflection. That song, out of all the songs, I just kept listening to over and over and over again. And as I continued to listen to it over and over and over again, I started to take on qualities of that song in my life. It was a purging quality. If you listen to that song and you listen to the lyrics and read them, you'll kind of maybe catch up to what I'm talking about. That song's about purging to a large extent. That really, really, really got me into Tool. I listened to that song so much, just constantly. I remember driving around in my damn car in high school on weekdays. I would just drive around my neighborhood like a wandering fool listening to this song. And then later, Triad became my favorite song, and it's still one of my favorite songs out of all of Tool's music. People think that's an instrumental, but Maynard's actually in there if you listen closely. And it is an incredible climax to all of the emotional purging and moving of energy that Lateralus is, all the way from the Grudge, through the Patient, through Schism, through Parabola, through Ticks and Leeches, Reflection, Disposition, and Triad. And then you have Fight Dioid, or however you pronounce it, which is an Enochian term. It's just, what the fuck? I'm so thankful that this music exists. These are like condensed angel tears that crystallized as they fell from the ether, and then it landed on earth. These beautiful tomes of divine musicianship between four people. It is incredible. The chemistry, especially once Lateralus, ladies and gentlemen, or excuse me, especially once Aenima came out, because up until that point they had Paul D'Amour on bass through Opiate and Undertow. They had a different bass player, and although I think that Paul's bass playing was incredible for that really early kind of primitive, more tribal Tool sound, once Justin Chancellor got in there and got on the bass, Tool really took a different direction. And I don't know if there was just better chemistry between the band and Justin as compared to Paul. I'm thankful for the fact that Paul was around for those albums, because he has a unique sound unto himself. But once Justin got in there, holy crap. You can really hear the love between these four people, these alchemists, these Gnostics. It's just incredible. And Fear Inoculum, ladies and gentlemen, has a very strong Gnostic tone to it. All of Tool's works have. They have a very strong Gnostic tone to them. It's very evolutionary music, and it's not just something that you listen to. It's something that you can actually engage in. You can participate in their music if it speaks to your soul. Now, I'm not in any way trying to sound like some representative for Tool, because I'm not. But I've had some very incredible experiences with this music, and it's really enriched every fabric and fiber of my life. And I feel the need to get on here and talk about it, because this music is a direct link to my Kundalini experiences. In fact, it's kind of like the foundation of it. I've mentioned this throughout older videos on Kundalini. My message is peppered with this, but A lot of those older videos are very long, so some of you may have heard me talk about Tool before, I'm not sure. But Fear Inoculum, you guys, I think my favorite song on there right now is Fear Inoculum. I mean, Maynard's voice in that, it's just totally angelic. And I've heard the isolated vocals where the music is turned down a lot and then they somehow digitally enhance Maynard's voice. You should listen to that. I mean, his vocal range is just totally alien compared to what you find from fucking Green Day and all this other bullshit. How people can even stand listening to crap like that blows my mind. At this point, I can't even be in the same room. If you're going to listen to the radio, if you're going to listen to all of the Katy Perry and all of the soulless garbage, I mean, it really aggravates me. It honestly sounds like I'm in some type of small cube with a bunch of piercing noises moving through my head. I hate it. Anytime I hear the radio, I'm done. Peace. If you want to listen to some good music, I'm all for it, but I mean, literally, you guys, the average band has 3 to 5 people in it, usually 4 to 5, excuse me. And they literally, all it is bass, guitar, singing, and drums. Sometimes there's some keyboard and some digital sound effects, but it's just this raw, unrefined, non-chiseled crap. Tool's music, there's like hundreds of things going on all at once, and it's beautifully interwoven. For the money, like what is it, $13 for this album? You're getting a incredibly well-refined, beautiful piece of musicianship for $13. Holy shit. Let's move out of the sun. My face is on fire. Let's see if that's any better, you guys. It's not much of a view, but actually this tree is beautiful. It's just the lighting under it is pretty bad. But yeah, again, Fear Inoculum. The whole part where he enumerate all that I'm to do. Now, I can't sing. I wish I could sing, but I mean, the lyrics in that are just incredible. And then towards the end, the whole purge me and evacuate the venom and the fear that binds me. Holy crap. Now, you guys may think, what the hell is he talking about? Why does he get so worked up over this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm able to see a little bit, read between the lines a little bit. This is an incredible piece of musicianship, and Tool's music is 100% angelic due to how intimately tied to the Kundalini energy this music is. And Kundalini is an angelic energy. But then we have Fear Inoculum, then we have Pneuma. Pneuma is incredible as well. I love the drumming at the beginning, the really rapid drumming. And Danny Carey has this incredible drum set where he uses acoustic drums and he also uses digital drums. He uses what are known as mandala pads that have all of these concentric rings that start as a small ring and it moves onward and outward. And the range that he can get, or I don't know if range is the right word, but the types of different noises that he can get with that mandala pad, because all of these rings that are on the pad, you can program each of the rings to have a different noise. So you may have like a pad that's 12 to 16 inches big or wide, I don't know, but the circles, kind of like the circles of like a tree stump, when you look at all the concentric circles, each little ring has different tone to it or a different sound. So you're hearing, when you look at him playing the drums, it might look like he's just got a bunch of cymbals and stuff and drum heads, but there's a lot more going on because of his usage of these digital programmable mandala pads. And he also incorporates sacred geometry into his drum set, which is incredible. They use the Sigillum Dei Ameth, a modified version of the Enochian 7-pointed star. That's kind of like their logo. That is more proof that this band is definitely into the angelic energy. And there's just certain things I'm not going to say in this video because I'm going to try to stay on point. It's probably going to be over 30 minutes, but I really don't care. To try to review something that's so advanced in 5 minutes, that's just doesn't make sense to me. But the whole band incorporates sacred geometry into their music. I mean, look at some of their stage sets. especially when they were touring Lateralus. Holy shit. With the amount of Alex Gray's artwork showing all the arcane parts of the physiology that we're no longer connected to here in the West, to see the 7-pointed star, to see all the stuff with the video animations, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's such a rare, unique, one-of-a-kind, precious thing, these Tool albums. And again, you may think I sound crazy for saying that, but I can assure you, if you've listened to this as much as I have, and listened to it, especially in these altered states of consciousness, you would know what you would be able to resonate with what I'm saying. This music is 10,000-fold times more advanced, beautiful, and evolutionary than anything else on the market currently. The closest thing that would come to it, in my opinion, would be a perfect circle. A perfect circle has the frontman for Tool, if you want to call him that, Maynard. And he is teamed up with Billy Howerdel, an amazing guitarist, experimental guitarist, and a few other people. And, you know, albums like Mur de Noms and 13th Step, incredible. You know, 13th Step, that's another, that album is beautiful. The number 13 is very significant, especially when we're talking about not only astrology, but astrotheology, when we're talking about Kundalini as well, because when you take the 13th step, that's when the 12 apostles of Christ, or the 12 cranial nerves, activate, and you become the 13th. You become the 13th child, if you want to call it that. You take the 13th step by awakening the 12 apostles of Christ, the 12 cranial nerves. You also achieve something known as becoming the serpent bearer, because when this happens, the Kundalini awakens within you, and you become a fucus, the not so well-known constellation in the zodiac of the man holding the serpent. This is symbolism, ladies and gentlemen. Holding the serpent is a symbol of mastering this Kundalini energy, or anointing within you, or anointing you, the Christ oil. So you got two pieces of homework. Start listening to Tool if you haven't, and start listening to a perfect circle. Excuse me. I would suggest starting with the album Mur de Noms, and listen to 13th Step. Emotive's another good one, highly underrated in my opinion. And their newest album, I haven't, unfortunately, spent a whole lot of time listening to it. I'm just now starting to listen to their newest album, and I'm liking what I hear so far. It's very different from their last few albums, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way at first, but I had to put myself in line, because there was a time where some of even the music on Lateralus rubbed me the wrong way. But that's because when you listen to these complex pieces of musicianship, where so many things were processed by these people when they made this music. And what I mean by that is they went through a lot of purging. You're hearing that, and I think that can make some people uncomfortable. I hope that makes sense. But something calls you back to Tool's music, and you kind of start to jive with it, and then it starts to expand, and you really start to appreciate it. So there's certain things that I want to say that I think I'm not going to say in this video. But the song Pneuma on Fear Inoculum is just wild. It is so good. And then we have some kind of interludes, I think they're called, like the songs, for instance, on Fear Inoculum, titled Chocolate Chip Trip. There's a few other ones as well. I think they're really interesting. A lot of people I saw on YouTube were like, what is this filler, bro? What is this filler? No, it's not. And, you know, there was that interlude or intermediary song on Aenima titled Intermission. I believe that's what it's called. The song before Jimmy. That little piece of musicianship where you heard the circus music is one of the most profound pieces of musicianship, in my opinion, on Aenima, because of what it represents. We'll get into that in the near future. I'm going to do an entire review video maybe, just on intermission. But we have all sorts of intermediary songs, like on Aenima, or excuse me, on Lateralus, between the Grudge and the Patient, we have Eon Blue Apocalypse. That was an incredible piece. You see, a lot of people are so dumb, they think that these small little 1 to 2 minute pieces in between songs are insignificant. They're there for a reason. You're supposed to listen to these pieces before you listen to the song that comes after them. At least that's my opinion. There's probably a reason why the band made those fucking songs. But on Fear Inoculum, there's a handful of these, and they're really, really interesting. The song Lost Keys on 10,000 Days is a perfect example of just a totally beautiful intermediary song. I could be rusty. I think it's called Lost Keys. I'm not... I haven't dissected 10,000 Days enough. I've listened to hundreds of hours of it probably, but I've spent most of my time listening to Aenima and Lateralus. And now that Fear Inoculum's here, I've just been fucking listening to it on repeat constantly. So we have Fear Inoculum, we have Pneuma, we have Invincible, we have Descending, which is so fucking good. Towards the end, they have the piece of that part of the song. It jumps into that. It sounds like Reflection from Lateralus. There's a pretty decent chunk of time in Descending. There's a part in Descending that sounds very similar to the kind of bottom feeder vibe that we get from Reflection. And Reflection has this kind of slow, steady, I like to call it a bottom feeder vibe, because Reflection's about purging your selfish qualities. It kind of, the sounds that song produces puts you in a certain state of mind where you can reflect on the energies that you have been engaging in that are suboptimal to your growth. I hope that makes sense. There's a reason why these pieces of there's a reason why these songs have the specific sounds they do. But all in all, I give Fear Inoculum a 1,000 out of 10. I give it an infinity out of 10. I give it a Fibonacci spiral till the end of time out of 10. I think Justin Chancellor's bass playing is fucking phenomenal in this CD, and the chemistry between Justin and Adam Jones's guitar. Adam Jones's guitar is on a whole different level on this CD, in my opinion. And to hear Danny Carey's evolution on the drum set, the incorporation of all of these digital sounds that they sound organic. It's the craziest thing. And a perfect example of this is towards the end of Fear Inoculum, the song. The part where Maynard, purge me and evacuate the venom and the fear that binds me. To hear the part leading up to that, the doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. There's all these crazy drum sounds in there that are like a ball being passed back and forth. It's like a perfect balance of right and left brain activity. It's insane. And then to hear Maynard's voice, this total angelic yet haunting voice that just chills you down to your most subatomic particles and moves you. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a real piece of high quality fucking art. And then to see Alex Gray's artwork, and to see Chet Zar's artwork on the albums as well. I mean, throughout some of the older albums, what the fuck? This is just really, really neat stuff. And it's one of the highest quality products that you can get your hands on today, especially amongst all the bullshit, all of the evil, dark nonsense, all of the crap, all of the Hollywood bullshit, all of the fucking music that is just so undeserving of the titles that they're currently holding. And what I mean by that is about 99% of the music in Hollywood is garbage. And the only reason you like it is because you're in a fallen state and you don't know how to fucking think anymore. You don't know how to interpret art any longer. Art nowadays is crap. I went to a fucking art museum a few years ago, and there was literally a piece of art in this museum. It was just a giant canvas painted blue. That's not art. Throwing a bunch of paint on a canvas is not art. I also went to this art museum, and this very well-respected piece of art, I shit you not, it was a toilet on the ground, and it was all caution taped off, and there were like empty paint cans and like pieces of trash around the toilet. There was also a very well-respected piece of art in this museum where you walked through this little tunnel, and in the tunnel that was all dark, like it was some type of Easter egg hunt, there was a little LED screen on the ground that you couldn't walk on, and it was a woman inside the little 7-inch, LED, whatever you call it, screen, LCD screen, tapping and going, "Hey, you, yeah, you." That's not art. That's some of the biggest losers get into art, no offense. Because in today's world, you can have crap that gets you to be a well-respected artist. A giant blue canvas, or a bunch of empty paint cans and beer bottles around a toilet. No. And to see the modern ideal, if you will, of art in Hollywood nowadays, with the Katy Perry and just the bullshit, the Eminem and the crap, you people are something else. I tell you what, you have no artistic standards. Art is supposed to encourage growth and evolution, not debauchery. Another really good band is Meshuggah. If you want something darker and heavy but still balanced in Gnosticism and evolution. A good quality, very heavy metal band. A friend of mine, Steven, always liked them, and I didn't really like Meshuggah at first, but after listening to Demiurge and a handful of their songs, I'm a big fan. Nothing like Tool in my opinion, but still a really, really good product. Great artwork. That is like dark art done right. Not, there's a difference between dark art and evil. And the crap you see in Hollywood, most of that is just evil. It's not even dark art. Dark art is supposed to reach your shadow, if you will. It's supposed to speak to the more repressed parts of your psyche, and it pulls things out. Evil art is just, Snoop Dogg. Smoke weed, smoke weed, smoke weed. Drink beer, and, do shootings and all this other crap. What the fuck is that? And these people get very successful in Hollywood because the evil one, the negative entity that runs the show here on Earth, it uplifts people like this because it uses them as tools to spread its evil fucking energy around like free crack to the fiends everywhere. It's just insane. Tool is a light house in a dark world. And I am humbly grateful for the music that these people have put together. It's remarkable. So Fear Inoculum, you guys, I recommend buying the CD, looking at the artwork while you listen to it. Look at the front, the piece of artwork on the front. That symbol, ladies and gentlemen, is very profound. And I want to talk about that in the near future. It has to do with anatomy. It's something that we'll talk about soon. You should also buy Lateralus and take a look at the artwork in Lateralus. They work with a man named Alex Gray. A large majority of their artwork is Alex Gray's artwork. Alex makes these pieces of artwork for this band, and it's just incredible artwork. It really is. It shows you the complexity it gives you a taste, a clue of what this band is actually about. You don't just call Alex Gray up and get artwork made of that caliber for an album that's not going to resonate with the artistic quality of someone like Alex Grey. And what I mean by that is Katy Perry wouldn't call up Alex Grey and say, I need some artwork. I don't think Alex Grey is just going to dish out his artwork to anyone who wants it. I don't think that that's how the universe would align things in the first place. Katy Perry's music, I mean, no offense, it's the worst crap in the world. If you think that that's good stuff, well, you're in the typical person club. But Alex Grey, the fact that they use his artwork, which more often than not gives you a taste of the arcane physiology, I like to call it. We have multiple layers of energy around us that we can no longer see, taste, touch, if you want to say it. We can no longer perceive it, is what I mean. We have multiple consecutive layers of energy around us, like an onion has multiple layers. This is called the subtle organizing energy field. Fields, plural. We have multiple of these. The Kundalini, when it awakens, it shows us these various levels of our arcane physiology. Due to the repositioning of what's known as our assemblage point, our auric field is no longer visible to us unless we enter into specific states of altered consciousness, whether that be through sorcery or shamanism. That is, in my opinion, the real goal of shamanism, at least in today's world, with the context of us being in the Matrix. Shamanism can show us where we are being duped. It can show us that, hey, there's a lot more to life than what you're aware of. There's a lot more about yourself that you're not aware of. Look at what's around your body. You've got a fucking energy field around you connecting you to God. The Kundalini shows us this. Shamanism shows us this. Tools music shows us this. It gives us a taste of the truth. Even if you're not willing to take the pill, you can still listen to it without taking that actual red pill, if you want to call it that. But when Tools music is listened to in the right states of consciousness, you will really be able to experience the artwork, because the artwork can be consumed, digested, and experienced. And that's what I've always loved about Tools music. You can not only listen to it, you can actually jump into the driver's seat and experience it. Because it strongly appears, to me at least, that the problems that Maynard and the band were working through when they made Lateralus, these were certain energetic blockages and psychological issues that we all have as humans. And by listening to it, you can jump in and put Tools music on like it's a spacesuit and fucking change your life. And they've given us this artwork, and it's just fucking phenomenal. And a lot of you guys probably will think I sound crazy for saying this, but I don't give a fuck. I've spent a lot of time listening to this music and trying to integrate it. It's just something beyond, and I'm humbly grateful for it. But again, I think that Fear Inoculum it exceeded my wildest assumptions as to what this album would bring. I didn't really know what to expect, because I didn't really know if they were gonna kind of build off of 10,000 Days. I didn't know what Maynard was gonna do with his voice. And Maynard's voice is incredible. I mean, listen to Reflection and listen to the swelling of his voice. Listen to isolated lyrics of Maynard's from Parabola. It's like an angel singing. And when it's coupled with the musicianship of Danny Carey, Justin Chancellor, and Adam Jones, I mean, you have something really special here. But where was I going with that? I mean, anyone who thinks that Fear Inoculum, the album, is bad, they must have really bad taste. Or maybe the music, like, moved something in their stomach, metaphorically speaking, that made them uncomfortable. Maybe it kind of agitated them in a way, whether they're conscious of it or not. Maybe it brought up some bad memories. I don't know. Because Tools music will do that. Again, this is a tool for growth, at least in my opinion, based on my experiences with it. Where the hell was I going with that? Excuse me. I mean, if you don't like the album, it's because you're failing, in my opinion, to look at the progression of their music. I think a lot of people wanted to hear something closer. I think most people like this album. The way I'm talking about it, it almost makes it sound like a lot of people don't like it, but it's one of the greatest albums. I mean, they got tons of positive feedback from it. And I think they made the #1 position on the chart for quite a while. So it's not like people don't like it, but there's a group of people who don't like it, and their opinions fucking suck. And I think that these people, they're failing to look at the evolution of the music. And I think that they're, it's like they expected something more aggressive. Like they wanted to hear something maybe closer to like Stinkfist or H. Aenima was a very powerful and positive Tool album, but it had more of an aggressive tone to it. Fear Inoculum has an aggressive tone to it, but it's not the same as Aenima. So, in the same way that a child develops and his body and mind changes as he or she grows up, it seems like Tool's music does the same thing. And why would it not? Why the hell would it not, ladies and gentlemen? And so my neighbor's got her music playing really loud, so hopefully you guys don't have to hear that crap. But where were we going with this? I give it an infinity out of 10, a giant spiral out of 10. And I think you really need to give it a listen, and I think you really need to listen close. Get some good headphones. Maybe take some kratom or a power plant or something of the liking. Get out of your own head, get out of your intellect and your programmed mind and listen to this album because it is fucking great. I just love it. You know, I think this is the closest thing to an angel. It's the closest thing to something that sounds angelic that you're ever gonna get. But I'm gonna see if my neighbor will shut the hell up. But I'd love to hear your feedback, guys. If you like Tool, leave some comments. What are your thoughts on Fear Inoculum? What are your thoughts on Lateralus? What are your thoughts on Aenima? What are your thoughts on all of it? What are your thoughts on Alex Gray's artwork? I love Alex Gray's artwork. Have you guys ever seen the picture or his painting called Holy Fire? Which is a depiction of the Kundalini energy rising. I mean, you literally see the staff in his spine with 2 snakes around it, 2 cobras. One of my favorite pieces of his artwork. And the artwork that Alex put together for Fear Inoculum is really amazing too. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the piece where the 2 people are like folding in different directions. Incredible. The crystalline background of that, I really loved it. Or I really love it, excuse me. So, my favorite song on there right now is Fear Inoculum. I'm still working through it. You know, I've listened to Lateralus for hundreds of hours. Hundreds and hundreds of hours. And what I find is with Tool's music, you don't just listen to it once and go, that's my favorite song. That's dumb. You keep listening to it and integrating the stuff from it, and then things will rearrange themselves and things will change. At least that's been my experience. And I think the same will go for Fear Inoculum. I'll probably end up going back and forth between liking different songs, but I love all of it because it's all a perfect package. It's like this perfect divine quilt that you can wear. Anyways, guys, I love you all. Peace be with you.